Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Memory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you a 2012 Conference USA preview. We're going to look at Conference USA top to bottom, and let's start with the recruiting trail to see how well these teams recruited this past offseason. Southern Miss gets my vote for having the best recruiting class in Conference USA. Look what they were able to bring in, a lot of depth throughout the course of the class. They got good help on the offensive line, good help on the defensive line. But the guy that stands out the most to me is quarterback Anthony Alford. This guy can make all the throws, really can zing it all over the football field, and also has the wills to get outside the pocket and cause damage with his legs. East Carolina got themselves a fine defensive prospect in Lucas Thompson, 6'1", 190, has great ball recognition skills, can pick off passes, and also has the speed you see right there to take it to the house. AJ Leggett is a versatile corner. He can play man press, he can play zone coverages, but the guy has the read and recognition skills that you want in a cornerback. Kelton Brackett is a defensive back that's not afraid to get his nose dirty in the run game, and that's what they need out there in the secondary for UA. Will Gross was the jewel of the recruiting class for Justin Fuentes. He's going to help lead this program back to where they want to be, take them to new heights. He has all the skill sets that you want in a quarterback. Deontay Greenberry was a 5-star recruit. This guy could have went anywhere in the country, so Houston got themselves a true gem at the receiver position. You look at Tulsa, getting the running back James Flanders. This guy is 5'11", 190, tremendous break tackle ability. You add another playmaker to that already talented backfield. Damian Neros is a tremendous athlete. He can play outside linebacker, he play on a defensive line, but he brings a lot of versatility to that 3-4 defense. Ernest Hawkins is another guy with tremendous athleticism. You can see him at linebacker, you see him at safety. This guy is a tremendous player and will help out that Miners defense get physical at the point of attack. When I look at Rice, he needed help on the offensive line. They bring in a JUCO guy, Nate Richards, should help bolster that right away. Tulane got themselves an outstanding running back, Josh Rounds from my old alma mater, McMain High School, the best running back in McMain. Central Florida wants to continue to attack teams downfield in the passing game. Drico Johnson fits in perfectly with their offense. The Houston Cougars always stay stocked with quarterbacks, and I think they still have the best quarterbacks in the conference. David Pollin should put up huge numbers this year, and if he gets injured or falters, they have a very talented backup in Crawford Jones. The Golden Hurricane get my vote for having the best running back core in the conference. Both guys, Trey Watson, Jatarian Douglas, can make you miss in the phone booth. I love using that phrase, and they also can catch the football out of the backfield, so they both bring a lot of versatility to the backfield. Tulsa also boasts one of the best receiving cores in Conference USA. Both of their receivers are true game breakers. Brian Burnham, Jordan James, guys are tall, physical, and athletic. You also look at H-back Willie Carter. This guy reminds me a lot of Charles Clay, who starred for the Golden Hurricane a few years back. Even though they're breaking in a new quarterback, I'm very impressed with Southern Miss's offensive line. 4 seniors up front, veteran leader led by Jason Weaver, the left tackle, who's making that move. And also keep an eye on Darius Barnes, the right guard. Guys bring a lot of beef up front. In my opinion, defensive end Troy Davis and also defensive tackle Victor Gray give Central Florida one of the best D-lines in the conference. These guys combine for over 60 tackles and also 7.5 sacks. Clearly, SMU has the best linebacking core in Conference USA. All 3 guys in that 3-4 defense do a great job of getting to the quarterback and rounding up tacklers. Taylor Reed, big playmaker right there. Cameron Rogers, also Jagarrett Davis. All guys combined had over 240 tackles. I think the Cougars have the best secondary in Conference USA. They're led by their senior playmaker, DJ Hayden, at the corner, and 2 juniors, Zach McMillan, the other corner, and free safety Kent Brooks. Both guys are young, athletic, and always end up with the ball in their hands. One of the bright spots for the Memphis Tigers has to be their special teams core. You look at the punter, Tom Hornsey. This guy's one of the best punters in the country. All-American, is probably a preseason favorite for the Ray Guy Award. Offensive MVP has to be Zach Line, in my opinion. I like this guy's running style. This guy, one cut downhill, and I hope they don't try to make him a fullback at the next level, but this guy should put up huge numbers for SMU. Trent Mackey gets my vote as defensive MVP. This guy is all over the football field for Tulane. Had over 140 tackles last year, 95 solo, and I think he's going to increase his production this season for Curtis Johnson. You had a great receiving talent in that spread offense, that run and shoot offense. You're going to get Michael Crabtree type production, which is why I think Deontay Greenberry wins Freshman of the Year in Conference USA. DJ Hayden gets my vote for being the best pro prospect in Conference USA. This guy reminds me a lot of Alfonso Smith, always around the football, forced fumbles, interceptions, touchdowns, pass breakups. He does it all, and I think he's going to have a bright future at the next level. New head coach Justin Fuentes will have the Memphis Tigers going in the right direction. This is a program that's definitely a sleeping giant. You're going to see a lot of that in Conference USA this year. But I think with the new transfer quarterback Jacob Karam coming over from Texas A&M behind a veteran offensive line will give the offense some stability. The biggest question is, can they get that defense up to par to not give up so many big plays in the passing game? If they can do so, the schedule sets up nice for them to be greatly improved over last season, and they get tough opponents like UCF and also Southern Miss at home. The Blazers, in my opinion, could be one of the surprise teams in the East Division of Conference USA. I think their offense is going to be exciting this year with quarterback Jonathan Perry and wide receiver Jackie Williams. These two guys will grow together again this year and put up some amazing numbers. The offensive line is the biggest question mark that I have, and they have a lot of fresh faces up there, and they're going to have to gel quickly before the season starts if the offense wants to take flight like it's supposed to. Defensively, the secondary, big problem. They give up a lot of yards via the air. That has to improve dramatically in order for these guys to have a chance, and their schedule is very tough. They got a lot of tough road games, so they're going to have to pull off an upset or two in order to get to bowl eligibility. I have Marshall finishing 4th in the East Division. I like the play of their wide receivers, Aaron Dobson and Ontavious Wilson. Those guys will put up some big numbers this year, and it will help continue the growth of their young quarterback, sophomore Rakeem Cato. If he can take the necessary progressions, this offense can definitely look a lot better this year. Defensively, they lose Vinny Curry, but I think this defense still will be a very tough one and physical one for people to deal with. They get a lot of guys back from injury, so overall, this team may look better this year as opposed to last. What has me picking these guys fourth, that schedule, they got to go to Southern Miss. They have to open up at West Virginia. They also have some tough games against Purdue and company, so this team will be challenged, but next year, look for this team to make a huge breakthrough in CUSA. Next up are the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. I have these guys finishing 3rd. I like that they're strong on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And when you have strength up front, both offensively and defensively, you will be in a lot of ball games. First-year coach Ellis Johnson has to figure out the skill positions on offense, has to get settled at the receiver position. I know they have Lampley. Lampley is an outstanding playmaker. Who else can step up to the plate and produce in the passing game? Can they find a consistent running back? So with those questions on offense, combined with their rough September schedule, they got a real rough September. They're going to have to get out the gates fast, but I still think they end up in a bowl game as the offense will get better as the season progresses. I have East Carolina finishing 2nd in Conference USA, the East Division actually. This team will be built defensively. I like what I see out of Ruffin McNeil's defense. That 3-4 defense will be able to get a lot of pressure on opposing offenses. They're going to be a lot better in the front 7. That's going to help out a very young and inexperienced secondary. On the offensive side of the football, there's some nice targets out there at the receiver position. I think they're going to have some success this year. In particular, the wide receiver Justin Hardy, who's 6'8". It's impossible to miss him, so he's going to have some outstanding numbers in my opinion. So when you look at a more conservative ball control type of approach offensively, it's going to help out the offensive line. With an aggressive style defense, you have to like ECU's chances this year in Conference USA. I have UCF finishing 1st in the East Division. I like Blake Bortles as the quarterback. I think they don't lose much from that position with him at the helm. In the backfield, I am interested to see how well Storm Johnson can do this season. The transfer from the University of Miami, he's going to probably start as the backup, but eventually will win the starting job. The offensive line is the biggest concern for Central Florida, so I think they can ease themselves into this season by running the football a little bit more. Defensively, it's all about getting off the field on 3rd down. If they can do that, this defense will again be stout at the point of attack, and I like their schedule. It sets up nice for these guys to make a run to get back to the Conference USA Championship game. Let's move over to the West Division. I have the Rice Owls finishing 6th in that division. When you look at their offensive and defensive line, that's the biggest questions for Rice. They have a lot of talent at the skill positions. Big fan of Sam McGuffey and what he can bring to the table in the backfield and also as a slot receiver. But they have to get tougher up front. They have to get to the quarterback, and they also have to open up holes for the running game and also protect the quarterbacks back there. Right now, Rice is probably a year or two away from being in contention for the Western Division crown. Next up are the UTEP Miners, and I like what I see on the offensive side of the football with a veteran offensive line, a lot of senior leadership up front behind and protecting quarterback Nicola Mason. I think he's going to put it all together this year and decrease his interceptions and increase his touchdowns. They have some solid receiving targets. The question lies in the backfield. Can they find someone to be the bell cow back? Now on the defensive side of the football, if they can't stop the run, this could be a long season for UTEP. But when I look at their schedule, September will be brutal. It'll test the mettle of this team. It will also test the run defense, and we'll find out a lot about UTEP early on in the season. I think Tulane can be a surprise team in Conference USA this year. I love the new hire with Coach Curtis Johnson. He's going to do a great job with that program, and they have a very good coaching staff, a lot of NFL experience on that coaching staff. Defensively, they're stout. All they have to do is eliminate the big play that caused them to give up over 37 points a game. But as far as talent is concerned, they have a lot of talent defensively. On offense, they can be well balanced. I love the recruits they have coming in. Very good running back in Orleans Darkwa. So I look for Tulane to make improvements this year and look for next year for them to compete for the West title. I have the Mustangs finishing third in the West. When you look at a team that lost 8 starters on offense, normally that would kill an offense, but this is a team that runs the run and shoot, so it's more like reloading and not replacing. They have one of the best running backs in the country, and Zach Lyon, big fan of what he does on the football field. And you look at the fact they get transferred from Texas, Garrett Gilbert, to be the quarterback, so the offense will come along slowly. But this team is built defensively. They have one of the best linebacking cores in the conference, the best linebacking core in the conference, and the secondary is also very strong. So they will be able to get pressure on the quarterback and create those turnovers. And the schedule sets up nice for SMU as they get the September slate that will resemble the old Southwest Conference. So look for SMU to get back to another bowl game under June Jones. Next up are the Houston Cougars. You look at what they bring to the table offensively. They have to replace Case Keenum, their all-time passing leader, but I think David Pylan will do a fine job as he has experience already in this offense. They have a veteran offensive line. The question is breaking in new wide receivers, but they have 2 true freshmen that are going to come in and make immediate impacts. These guys are very talented, in Deontay Greenberry and Larry McDuffie. Charles Sims is one of the best running backs also in the conference as well. So I think the offense will go through some growing pains, but will be better as the season progresses. Defensively, the linebacking core, again, Phillip Stewart is one of the best linebackers in the country, let alone the Conference USA. So I think defensively they'll be fine. They have to stop the run better this year in order to get off the field. But I think overall Houston still has enough to contend for the West Division crown. The Golden Hurricane can beat you in many ways offensively. They have one of the more impressive receiving cores in the country with Brian Burnham, Jordan James, and also the H-back Willie Carter. Those guys can put up tremendous numbers this year. Keep an eye on running back Trey Watts to have a big season as well. Defensively, it's all about stopping the pass. If they can improve on their pass defense, which was near the bottom of the conference last year, this team definitely has a look of a team that can make some noise in the top 25. So I like what Tulsa brings to the table, which is why I had them finishing first in the West Division.